Hello, my name is Travis. This is Dev Tips, and today we're getting stupid nerdy. You know, I've long held that it doesn't really matter what tools you're using. An expensive paintbrush in the hand of a novice will never be as good as a cheap paintbrush in the hand of a master. So bring your Dreamweavers. Bring your Notepad++. It's not the tools you use, it's how you use it. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about our tools. A few of you have asked me about... Okay, no, just wait for me to do it. Okay. Whatever. Is that fun? Did you get it out of your system? Okay, so there's been a few requests for me to make a video about Atom, the code editor that I use, and the packages that I use with it. And that's this video. So I've completely deleted Atom off of my system right now, so we can do this together. If you want to start with me, now's the time to do it. Go to atom.io, and this is the homepage for Atom, the code editor. Atom, by the way, is made and developed by GitHub.com, the company. So here's a quick and simple download button. Also, if you have some time, watch this video. It's particularly funny and quick humored. All right, it's downloaded. Now I'm just going to drag that Atom into my applications folder and launch Atom. Cool, we get the welcome screen here, and now what I want to do is go through and talk about how I set up Atom. So let me just open a project that we've used before, sites. Here's designing code. So we've got our project here on the left, and you should read these welcomes. They're particularly helpful. I want to start with the settings. So I'm going to hit Command, comma, and we're going to get the settings. The first thing I do is I'm going to use the font that I want to use. I don't know, I think the default is like Monaco, which is a good one. So what I've been using lately is Roboto Mono, which is nice. I like that one. I use 16 for the default font size. It's a little bit bigger. Let me show you here in Assets. Let's open Functions and split left. So now that I've split this, you'll see it live update. So the default is 14, and then I just changed it to 16 because it's a little bit more comfortable for me to read, and it's definitely easier for you guys to see. In fact, when I'm doing the videos, I'll bump this up. But when I'm coding, 16 is nice. Now on the settings here, there's a few default settings that are just, you don't need extensions or anything like that, but they're like really, really important to me. One of the biggest ones for me to have a comfortable read is, you know, when you get down to the end here, the scrolling stops. But if you click scroll past the end, you can just keep on scrolling, and that's really comfortable for me. I used to go enter, 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 enter when there was no scrolling past the end, and it would be like, that's how I would make it a little bit more comfortable. But scrolling past the end just really does that automatically, and it's really comfy. The next thing is, for me, I like to show the indentation guides, and so I click that checkbox. The indentation guides are these lines here, which are super helpful if you're getting more complicated code, and if you're using Jade, which is based on nesting, you know, you have like some of that going on, these indentation guides are going to be extremely helpful. I don't show invisibles, but some people like to do that so they can make sure they don't have any like extra spaces after their line endings and things like that. I don't really care that much about it. But one thing that I do think is helpful is to look at the tab length. Tab length by default is 2, and that's how I like to keep it as well. I don't use tabs. When I hit a tab, it's going to be rendered as 2 spaces, and I think that is best for me. And the last thing in the general settings that I want to show you is about ignoring the name. So if you look in my source panel here, I have this one is like a ds_store, which is a file that is a system file for the Mac operating system. You'll have those in like almost every folder. And then I'll have a .git folder, which is like my version control, and then _site, which is like from Jekyll. So there's 2 big things right here. One of them is ignored names. And by default, it has .git, .svn, dsstore, thumb, which are like the thumbnails for the previews if you're using certain operating systems. I don't want these to show up in my sidebar, so I need to ignore them. Here's a list of them, and you can add to them or replace them entirely. And then also there's this option here, which is exclude VCS ignored paths. VCS is a version control system. So if you make a file in your version control system like getignore.getignore file and you write a few things in there, you'll also want those to be hidden in the sidebar here as well. You just don't want to like have your mind cluttered with a bunch of files that you don't need to understand or don't need to kind of like manage, right? So now what gives, right? The default says that these should be gone, and I've already clicked these, but why are they not there? This is the tricky thing, and it took me so long to figure out. I'm going to go down to packages, and I'm going to do a search, because these are all core packages. Core packages are the packages that are come default by Atom. Remember, this is a fresh install. I just downloaded this. I'm going to do a search for tree, and there's a tree view package. So I'm going to go into the settings of tree view, and then there's hide ignore names. I don't know. It's so bad, but hide ignore names gets rid of. See that get there, and then DS store is gone. That I definitely want that. And then hide VCS ignored files. Like look at _site at the top. Now it's gone. Good, because this is a Jekyll file, and in my getignore file, I get ignored right here on line 36 _site. And that's kind of all I mess with the default settings. Everything else I kind of leave as is, and then I go into like themes and packages and things. So next let's look at the themes that I use. A lot of the questions were, what are the themes that I use? What is the syntax highlighting? So let's go into themes right here. Atom shipped once upon a time with Atom Dark. This is like the default theme that it came with. It's kind of like aggressive, like the tabs are very inspired by Sublime, and it actually looks like Sublime a lot. And then recently they updated to this theme called One. They have one dark and one light. One dark is quite nice. This is the default theme that you'll open with. Here's one light. It's also nice. So I like the theme of one dark. Now to install new themes, go to the Install tab on the left, and then you can search either for packages or themes. So let's go to themes right now. And a theme that I've noticed recently kind of get popular is a pretty fun one. Let's look for material. And the one we're looking for is the top here called Atom Material. So we'll just click install. And once that is downloaded, I'm gonna jump back over to themes, and then it'll be in the selection drop down. Atom Material, and there it is. So do I think it's cool? I think it's cool. Does it look cool? It looks cool. The problem I have with it, and the problem I have with general material design, is that it's not that usable. So for example, the drop downs here in themes. Where's the drop down? Oh, it's right there. They're just not findable. I think that material needs to get rid of this underline for the search boxes, like the text boxes, and I don't know. So I don't use it because it's kind of not usable, but it is pretty. So I'm gonna switch it back to one dark, which is a lot more easy to like navigate and use. Let's talk about the syntax themes. The syntax themes that I like to use, I'm going to do a search for space here. The one that I like to use is down here, Space Gray Atom Dark Syntax by J.C. House. There's a lot of them, but I like this one the best. It's not as like in your face as the rest of them. It's subdued, it's muted, and it's quite pretty. So let's go back over to themes. And for a syntax theme, I'll choose Atom Space Gray Dark. Now you notice that functions has not updated, so let's open functions again over here. So the difference between these two panes right here is that on the left I have the default Atom theme, it's like one dark, and on the right is called Space Gray Dark from JC House. And it's a little bit, you see, it's like just, it's less bright, it's a little bit more muted, and that's kind of all I do for themes and syntaxes and things like that. It's pretty simple. Next, let's talk about packages. Let me open this Jade file here, and then I'll switch to packages because I want to search for a package. The package that I use to make this syntax highlighting for Jade work is called Atom Jade. Okay, so I'll install this, and then immediately you see my my Jade code gets highlighted. And that's for Jade. Let me show you my CSS here. Okay, now we know that I'm using Sass, and I love it. But one thing that I do with my packages and like the way that I write code is like this autocomplete, it just really bugs the crap out of me. It always gets in my way. It suggests the wrong thing all the time. Like for example, if I'm in a Sass file, why is it suggesting markup, like HTML stuff, marquee, and then it's suggesting functions here? It's wrong, it's all wrong, it's not that great, and it always auto-completes the wrong thing for me. So personally, what I do is I go into my packages and I search for autocomplete, And I find this one called Autocomplete Plus, and I just disable it. I don't like it, so then when I'm down here, I can just write margin like a normal human and then just be, you know, done with it. So that's one that I just turn off. And a lot of people will be like, why do you turn off autocomplete? Well, it's just personal. You don't have to do it. I'm not recommending that you do it. It's just for me. I don't like it. It might make me faster, but it also like makes me, I find that when I have it on, I have to make more fixes because I auto-completed the wrong thing than if I'm just like misspelling things all the time. Some of you people would be like, hey Travis, will you please use Emmet? That's another one that I'm not gonna use. I don't know why I don't use Emmet. I know a lot of people recommend Emmet. Emmet is an auto-completer. It's like a text expander. So you'd write a few short keywords and then it would expand into like, you know, a nesting kind of situation. But I don't use it because I use Jade, and Jade is already compact enough. For example, like this is like a huge page worth of markup, and if I were to expand it into HTML, then I'd be editing HTML, and I want to edit Jade, not HTML. That's just me. But one package that I do use a lot and I get a lot of questions about is something called Pigments. Pigments, a package to display colors in project files. Now that Pigments is installed, you can see already that the colors in this file called vars.css are all highlighted in a certain way. So let me go over to I'm gonna just click the package Pigments, and I'm gonna get the settings for the Pigments package itself. Right now, the default kind of style of Pigments is to use the whole text string, like the hex color right here, gets highlighted with a box around it. And you can go to marker type, and right now it's on background. You can set that to outline, which is like the border around it, or an underline simple, which is kind of, I like that quite a lot, it's nice. I've been using dot. Dot is probably my favorite way. Another interesting one is gutter, which moves everything over and adds some colors over on the left margin. But dot is nice. People ask me a lot, how do you get those little dots? This is how. You go to Pigments, and then you go to the settings and you change it from marker type to dot. Now, there's a few others that will do this as well, but Pigments is my favorite because it goes a little bit further. For example, if we have primary color as a variable in Sass, and I have it set up to this pink color here, let me just write body, background, and then, all right, primary color. Pigments will find the color that defines that variable and pull the color down into the variable, which is something that I haven't seen in the other packages that do the dots as well. So that's pretty sweet and cool. But check this out. If I go lighten, which is a Sass function, and I go 20%, maybe lighten it by 20%. The new color on the end is a result of the function. So like, not only does it display the color like we see at the line 1 and 2, but like line number 5, it'll pull out the variable and display that color. But also it'll allow you to do functions on the variable and display that color, and that's pretty cool. I think like as you're going through and creating all these styles, like that can be super helpful and handy. But then you can also right click on it and then go to Pigments and then convert it to things. Like for example, if you didn't want Sass, I don't know why you would do this, but like let's say just convert it to hexadecimal, and there it is. Like that's what the result of that variable is. That's pretty cool. And you can not convert it only to hexadecimal, but you could also do RGBA and stuff. Super, super fancy, right? There's other things as well. If I do Command Shift P and I find Pigments, this one's really cool. Pigments Show Palette. It'll open up a new tab and show me every color that's in my project, which is awesome. And you can see I've got a lot of blues. Like if this was my project, I would be like, oh wait, like this blue is similar to this blue. Can't I just compile them and that way have less definitions of colors and stuff like that? It's a great way to go about and figure out, like if your project is efficient or not. Another one to do is to find colors right here. Find colors is pretty awesome because if you think like, okay, where is this color defined? And you could say like, okay, here's that red. It's defining a background color in this file, and you can click through to it, and then it's highlighted down here. This is where that color is defined. That's pretty sweet. I like that a lot. Like that's super helpful with like just optimizing and finding colors that you're using before. Oh, what did we use before when, you know, like when you had this kind of button? What's the rollover like? It's all kind of gonna be organized and helpful for you there. So I really like that. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is, so this file right here on my right is a style sheet for all of Atom. What I want to do right now is show you how to make these circles a little bit smaller. I think they're a little bit too big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my inspector and I'm going to select this circle here. This circle is an element called Pigment's Color Marker. I'm going to copy the selector and paste it in. And now that I have this selector, I can edit elements that are actually on the page in the editor itself. Right here I noticed that I have a translate declaration here. They're moving the dot down a little bit, or up a little bit rather. So I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to keep that. But I want to add to it. I just want to scale it down a little bit. Let's say 0.6 and save, and then the dot gets smaller. Maybe 0.7, maybe 0.8. That looks a little bit better, right? Let me show you. Bigger, smaller. It's just a little bit of a change. It's not a huge thing, but I think it's a better move for me personally. That's kind of everything that I do with Atom to make it look the way it does, I think. I mean, I deleted Atom in preparation for this video, so if I forgot anything, it's because I just forgot. And anything outside of these things is unnecessary anyway. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. And also thank you to the wonderful patrons of DevTips. These are the people who support this channel and make it possible by donating a sum of their choosing for every video. Patrons get to watch the videos a few days early and a few other perks. So check out patreon.com/devtips to find out more about that. Ta-ta for now. I'll see you next week and keep on hacking.